Status in this country is explained as below.
Welcome to Mapmen.
We're Tupmen.
And here's to Map.
Mapman.
In today's programme, we're going to talk about counties.
Counties are the building blocks that make up Britain. The units you're expected to have heard of to help place towns and villages you've not heard
Counties.
of, such as Wingerworth.
Where?
In Derbyshire.
Oh, where's Derbyshire?
Arguably, the county that inspires the fiercest pride and loyalty in its inhabitants is Yorkshire.
Yorkshire is known for Yorkshire puddings, Yorkshire terriers and Yorkshire tea, which comes from this part of Yorkshire. With its distinctive accent, strong identity and intense one-way rivalry with Lancashire next door, Yorkshire folk are proud to tell everyone they come across that they come from Yorkshire.
And they're all wrong to do so because Yorkshire doesn't exist.
Yes, it does.
Alright, show me a map with Yorkshire on it.
OK. Here. This map of the 39 counties of England clearly shows a county called Yorkshire.
But this map of the 48 counties of England shows separate north, south, west and east riding of Yorkshire, but no single county called Yorkshire.
But my map is correct and up to date.
So is mine. And so is this one.
What's going on?
We're doing Mapmen.
No, I mean with the counties.
Well, the definition of county in Britain is a minefield of anomalies, asterisks, confusions, vague areas and contradictory Wikipedia articles. The more you look for answers about what a county really is, the more questions you come across.
Which is perhaps why no one's attempted to do a video about them before.
Even Google Docs won't let you type the word county without suggesting, did you mean country?
But we're not taking citation needed for an answer. It's time to do some actual research to find out once and
Maybe this is search on Bing. I think Google has information a lot.
for all, what is a county? And go!
Right, now that we've eaten all those biscuits, should we start doing some research?
I've done it all. The first time England was split into what we now call counties was back in the 10th century when King Aethelstan wanted to make sure all the same laws were being obeyed and all the same taxes were being collected all across England.
Which, curiously, is the opposite reason why you divide a nation up nowadays.
He split his kingdom into bite-sized manageable chunks and sent an earl to be in charge of each one of them.
How they got their names tells you a bit about how they were formed.
These were named after ethnic groups or old kingdoms that existed before England.
These ones that end in sex were part of the Saxon kingdoms which spread across the south of England.
And these ones took their name from the most important town, the county town, and added the Anglo-Saxon word shire on the end, the same word that sheriff comes from.
Sheriff, ooh!
And for our American viewers, it's pronounced sheer, not shire.
Actually, it's pronounced shire, not sheer, plebs.
Over the centuries, these areas have been controlled by earls, dukes, sheriffs, lords, and at one point, counts, which is how they came to be known as counties.
The precise location of exactly where one county stopped and another one started wasn't important in those days. Nobody tried to draw the boundaries on a map until the 1080s when the Normans did a survey.
Hello, Norman. I've done a survey of all the people who say they live in Worcestershire.
Thanks, Norman. I'll just add that to my survey of all the people who say they live in Gloucestershire.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. And that's how the fuzzy county borders became sharp lines, but with lots of panhandles, detached areas, exclaves and squiggly bits.
England's counties varied massively in size. The biggest, Yorkshire, was half the size of Wales, and the smallest, Rutland, was roughly the size of a Wale with 0 cities and frankly had no business being a county.
Harsh.
But these differences didn't really matter until, in 1888, the Prime Minister Lord Salisbury established administrative counties, making democracy local.
Each county would now have its own county council in the county town, in charge of local things like police, fire, council tax and so on.
But some counties were too big to be easily manageable.
Sussex got split into east and west.
And Yorkshire was split into its historic ridings, a word that meant thirds.
Ridings. Yeah, that's
Three
what
parts.
In addition to this, big cities were given the status of county borough, which made them independent from the county they were in, effectively taking the Leicester out of Leicestershire, Derby out of Derbyshire, and Nottingham out of Nottinghamshire. So does this all mean that a united Yorkshire hasn't existed since 1888?
Well, not exactly. Strap in. The new administrative counties did not replace the historic counties. Both systems confusingly coexisted at the same time.
And the confusion was only going to get worse.
Lots of towns in Britain had the same name.
This often caused confusion, with many people's letters being delivered to the wrong place.
Which is why from 18-something onwards, the Royal Mail required that every address had to end with a county.
But because many post towns happened to spread inconveniently across county borders, the Royal Mail, for their own convenience, introduced the last thing Britain needed: another county's map.
The post office's counties didn't
Another
have
one.
the historic ones or the administrative ones. For example, the town of Ugly was in the county of Essex, but the address ended in Hertfordshire.
Which meant there were now 3 interpretations of what county you lived in: historical, administrative, and/or postal.
As the centuries rolled on, the county system went from being confusing to being completely out of date. After the Industrial Revolution, Britain's new big cities were man-spreading themselves across county borders.
And many county towns were no longer the commercial powerhouses they used to be.
The once mighty city of York had fallen to 5th place in non-existent Yorkshire.
The counties didn't reflect 20th century Britain in any cultural, practical or meaningful
Sense. It was time for a complete shake-up. The year was 1972,
Nice cut there.
a time of optimism and experimentation in the first episode of Rainbow.
The Local Government Act of 1972 was a radical attempt at cleaning up the complicated, outdated counties mess both once and for all.
Brand new metropolitan counties sprang into existence, with modern-sounding names like Merseyside, Greater Manchester, West Midlands and Tyne and Wear.
London, of course, wasn't included in any of this, as they'd already done their own thing 10 years earlier, which Jay has previously discussed on a video he made without me.
At the same
Okay.
time, several traditional counties vanished overnight. It was county carnage. Huntingdonshire got eaten by Cambridgeshire, Hereford got anded with Worcester, Cumberland, Westmoreland and this lump of Lancashire were all merged and given the horrible new name Cumbria.
And silly little Rutland was
Cumbria.
sensibly absorbed by Leicestershire.
Chances are nobody would have Battenberged an eyelid at yet another change to Britain's local authorities, but the government made a big mistake.
They messed with Yorkshire.
Yorkshire's borders got a complete meddling, creating a new South Yorkshire, which was cheeky, but when the East Riding got taken out of Yorkshire altogether and became part of the new
No.
Humberside, that was not on. It was off.
The previously Yorkshirean residents of Hull were not at all keen to be lumped with Grimsby on the other side of the River Humber.
It was a particularly bizarre union given the Humber Bridge connecting the two sides hadn't even been built yet. There was an anti-Humberside campaign,
Unbuilt, yeah.
and even anti-Humberside graffiti.
All this kerfuffle forced the government's hand, and in 1996, Humberside quietly disappeared.
As did other unpopular experiments like Cleveland and Avon.
Hereford and Worcester once again became Hereford and Worcester. Sure. Even ridiculous Rutland regained its status as England's smallest county.
The shake-up of 1972, designed to simplify things, did nothing of the sort, instead marking the beginning of an era where county borders, names and powers have been changing on an ever-increasing basis.
England today has 9 regions comprising 47 ceremonial counties alongside 6 metropolitan counties comprising 36 metropolitan districts, 26 non-metropolitan counties comprising 192 non-metropolitan districts and 56 unitary authorities, not including Greater London, which is a ceremonial
Such a lot.
county comprising 32 boroughs, and the City of London, which is a district and a county and not a ceremonial county, and we haven't even talked about Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland where it's different.
Absolute state of this.
Although it may seem more impossible than ever to tell what and isn't a county, according to this particularly aggressive map publisher,
It's very simple. Our historic counties have never been affected, nor their boundaries changed by the endless shifting of local government boundaries over the past 100 years.
this is a view shared by the increasingly exasperated Association of British Counties, who seek to
Give every county a county day, teach counties to school children, fly county flags in every county, stop using the word county for local authorities who are not proper counties.
fruitcakes. The reality is, unless you live in a county that's particularly unusually proud of itself, like Yorkshire, in general not much of a monkeys is given about the county you live in.
And that might be because it just doesn't really matter. It's not like the USA, where laws vary from one state to the next.
Even Royal Mail doesn't care anymore. Thanks to postcodes, putting a county on your address has been
Tailored
unnecessary
countries.
since 1996, despite the boxes they make you fill in on Amazon.
But just because they're not important doesn't mean we should forget about them. Present-day knowledge and understanding of English counties is in an abysmal state.
We stopped over 4 people on the street and not a single one of them could faultlessly name every single county in England and its county town.
Well, we think that's a terrible shame, and it's about time something was done about it. Oh, there's Leicestershire, Oxfordshire, Rutland and...
Particularly fun video. Take countries changes na be frequently. Particularly informative video. Challenge watching the video of this one. Video video